All right, guys, recording is on. You can start.
Okay, so we did chapter 4 from text 1. So it's understanding yourself. The introduction, everyone, every man, woman, and child is born with a distinct, different destiny. Knowing yourself, realizing your potential as a leader in positive relationship. Understanding oneself relates to thinking of yourself and the things which shape your personal identity and fuel your motivation. It's important to recognize your strength and weakness. Only then you can realize your capability and understanding individual differences. Knowing yourself is critical to becoming an effective team member as well as being successful in life, work, and relationships. It is important to know yourself first before knowing others. Development of self for leadership. Everyone is different in their own way, with different strengths and weaknesses. Um, you are your own best teacher, accepting responsibilities, blaming no one but yourself. You can learn anything you want to learn. Self understanding comes from reflection on your self experience. Strengths and weaknesses. Everyone is unique in their own way. Just 1 second there. Everyone is different in their own way, with difference in strengths and weaknesses. Sometimes if your strength is sometimes if you stress on your strength, it may become your weakness. For example, if you may be a strong critical thinker who can readily find flaws in logic, that can be a terrific strength in helping your group prepare and present its positions on a topic, or it can be seen as a negative and blocking if someone is presenting an idea and you just naturally begin to be critical instead of trying to connect and listen. Identifying your passion and strength. Listen to yourself when you have listening to yourself when you have done well, knowing to yourself you did something good and noticing the satisfaction in it, knowing what you can learn easily. Example, mastering a new computer technology. Study your successes for clues of excellence. For example, giving a speech, thinking about your pattern of excellence, example, public speaking. Identifying your talent. Each person is talented in their own way. A powerful metaphor in 2004, Don Terry of Dipper and Bucket. Everyone has an individual bucket which can be emptied or full. When your bucket gets empty, you can feel negative and let down. When your bucket is full, you can feel positive. The dipper is a powerful tool in leadership, allowing us to say positive things about others, telling the other person something good they are good at. You can also use the dipper to take from someone else's bucket, making that person feel diminished. Your own self-esteem is enhanced when you use the dipper to fill someone else's bucket. When you fill your own bucket and others, you are supporting your own and others' strengths and talents. Managing your weakness. All of us can learn to manage our weakness. Weaknesses can be removed, but we can work on transforming our weakness into strength. For example, you may not speak well in front of group. You can, however, manage your weakness by learning ways to make a presentation more comfortable for you, like using overhead transparency or handouts or encouraging group interaction. Esteem and confidence. How you think and feel about yourself is the energy that fuels your motivation. Self-concept is how we objectively describe ourselves. Usually it's based on roles and attitude. Self-esteem is the subject element of how you feel about yourself. Honoring your strengths and addressing your weaknesses are essential steps towards self-esteem. Understanding yourself
Can
is
I ask,
understanding.
um,
Sure.
can I ask, can you distinguish between what is self-esteem and what is confidence?
Self-esteem is how you feel about yourself, and I would say confidence is doing something, knowing okay, this is something you're confident about doing, like maybe talking in front of people and you're not nervous and all of that.
Can you give me another example of something you are actually confident in doing?
I am not confident right now because I feel very nervous.
No,
I
no, no.
don't know
Give
why.
me an example, right? So that means there's a relationship that is connected between your degree of self-esteem and your confidence. Um,
Right,
Confidence is gained when you have expert skills in doing something. So, for
right.
example, Mr. Diablo seems to be quite versed in working with PCs and that kind of stuff. He seems to be, at least. I think, Mr. Diablo, you're an IT specialist, right?
Well, I kind of retired this year, but I used to do networking,
Right.
IT for QRC.
Right. So there you go. So that gives you confidence, and that
Hmm.
confidence helps to feed into your self-esteem. That makes sense to you guys? So I
Yeah.
Yeah,
wanted that distinction so that other people will understand that sometimes in order to develop your self-esteem, you need to develop your skills to be able to feel better about what you're doing and how you're doing things. That makes sense?
yeah,
And then they sort of interact with each other. So in your case, where you feel very um, you don't feel very confident presenting, it starts to show itself and in terms, and it tends to make you feel less of yourself. So your self-esteem takes a hit from that. So that's something you want
right.
to pay attention to. Anybody else
Yeah.
wants to communicate any questions or anything they want to clarify that happened before, please either put it in the chat or interrupt them and stop them. Don't just let them run through the presentation. All right. Okay, guys, continue.
Right. Understanding yourself is who you are, how you grew up, and what influenced you being who you are now. There are things we cannot change about ourselves, our parents, our heights, our family members, but there are things that we can work on to develop ourselves. So that's I'll hand you over to Keon, so he will do the balance.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello, good afternoon, Kian Nabru here. So I'm gonna start off with the factors that shape your identity. So I'm sure you've experienced this before, the way you've growing up. Maybe it is that you would live in a particular area and the environment or the people around there would like influence you to build on different characteristics about yourself. Like for example, maybe you're in a household where your parents, both parents, are teachers. That might push you in a direction that you would want to study more. You want to be like smarter. Maybe you want to follow your parents' footsteps. Those are being like influenced by your parents. Or if you are a son of, or if you have a child as a parent, maybe you want to change the way your identity is so it can more mesh with your son slash daughter. It all intertwines. Like, um, it has other factors that can shape your identity, meaning like your abilities, your disabilities. If you can't physically walk, maybe you would change the way you feel or perceive to people based on what you like. I guess what you would do if you would use like a walking stick, if you would use like a wheelchair. It all depends on what it is you do that would kind of shape your identity. Another major thing that you can that can shape a person's identity is if they're in a family of a lot of religious people, you would tend to see that it either goes one way, where the person is really like reluctant, they kind of pull themselves away from that religious thinking because they don't want to be associated with that, or they would be extremely religious because they are from that upbringing. Also, it has the socioeconomic status, like the elitist status. If you are from a family of more wealth, you usually in those instances you would perceive yourself as more higher than someone, a little bit more snobby. It's not 100% that way, but usually because you were influenced by that environment, that it would go that way. But in the end, it all depends on the person. The person doesn't have to go in this particular way. Their identity doesn't need to be shaped because they have this upbringing. It usually just pushes them to that. But in the end, it's up to you on the person that you want to become. Factors in leadership. Leaders are not born. Leaders are not made. Leaders are made, not born. That's a line from in the text on page 30. This refers to understanding yourself more in a personal context. And what motivates you more and how it is effective, how your motivation is important for effective leadership. It's not necessarily that, oh, because you were born into this role that you will be good at it. It's what you value in yourself and what'll make you a better leader. um Usually that would entitle your personal experience, like if you just start a job and then you experience going up the ladder that way, it would make you a better leader than somebody that has put in there who does not really know the way this place works. I know we had an example of this last week, I believe, when other people were sharing of their experiences in work where they have a leader in the position, but the leader is not leading. He's not really leading. He's just in that position, but he doesn't know how to lead. So that's what I mean by your personal experiences will more develop your factors in leadership. Um, in factors in leadership, it has the two types. It has different types. It has the leaders that prefer the more active roles, and it has the leaders that prefer to. I don't really want to call them leaders. I want to more call them the managers, where they just say that, oh, I want you to do this. Not necessarily why they're telling you to do it. They're just telling you, okay, I want you to do this because I want you to do this. I don't think that's effective leadership. I think that should not be how leaders do things.
Good.
Let me move to this one. Values and beliefs. So, values and beliefs are essentially what you value yourself. Maybe you value yourself as a ethical person. Maybe you value yourself as an unethical person. Example of this would be that, okay, you're volunteering for somebody. I want to say you're volunteering as like a housekeeper or something, and I want to say you find money while you're cleaning. Based on your beliefs, maybe you would keep the money, but at the same time, maybe you would return the money to the person. That would be like you have an ethical upbringing or an unethical upbringing, depending on what you do in that instance. Um, these values and beliefs are usually what will shape your ethical behavior and your character. Maybe you're a studious person who you like studying because that's what you value. Maybe you're not a person like that because you don't value studying. You don't value studying, you value maybe sports more. So all of these things can develop your character. Everyone has principles and beliefs that guide what you really value. Maybe you value time, maybe you value money. All of these are based on you, and you have to discover what you value more. Nobody can make you value stuff. That's based on your own self. Um, I guess some values and beliefs are considered these sociological norms. For an example of that would be that well, it's not as common as before, but based on research, they would It used to have that, or if you're a housewife, you should stay. Or if you're a woman, you should stay home and cook and clean and take care of the kids, because that was a social norm back then. But we derived from doing that. Now it's not that, oh, because you're a woman you should do this. It's just, if you would like to do this because that's what you value, you will do it. It's not as pushed as it was before. It still has instances of norms being pushed in the hereditary, or the, I want to say, the depending on your sexual orientation, if you like males or even like females, it's like a social norm. It's not, some people don't know if that's what they really want to do. Understanding your values helps you to understand others. um I guess an I guess a example of this would be, if you are intervening in a if you're intervening in like a conversation, or like a debate between multiple different parties, and you don't know those people per se, like these people are completely random to you, nothing is shaping your like opinion of these people, you will more likely tend to the person, you will gravitate to the person who more fits your beliefs based on what you're hearing in that instance. You won't usually take an objective standpoint in that instance. You might more lean on the side of the person who agrees with what you believe in.
I think the idea there, Mr. Diablo, is that what you have is that when you can identify similarities in backgrounds, you can find similarities in values and belief structures. So, let's say, for instance, um, your circle of friends includes a lot of people with whom you go to church with, or with whom you worship. Then
Hmm.
there's an expectation that your values system and your belief structure will be similar to each other, and that it will help you to kind of understand why they feel the way they do about certain topics if you're aware of the background to their belief structure, because it mirrors your own.
Hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
All
it
right.
does.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, more values and beliefs. Leadership, actions guided by your value system, seen consistently by others and attribute to your character or reputation. Um, I guess that's where they would be like, oh, you're an honest person, maybe. The stuff you do, it would guide what people perceive you as. Like, okay, if you're a person of really good character, others will perceive you as a person of really good character because that's what you're usually doing. If you're a person who likes donating to charity, a person who likes like giving back to others, they'll see you as a generous person. Um, Stuff like that. Leaders and decision. Disagree with decision, but not fault in character. That would be like if you have like a meeting between the managers. Well, it's a meeting between like the leadership, and maybe you don't agree with the decisions the people on top are making, but you don't find a fault in their character, stating that, oh, you don't have any issue with them, you just don't agree with what choices they're making. Um,
All right.
the
So you agree to disagree. That's
Yeah,
basically
you
what
agree
it
to
is.
disagree, basically. It has other instances where maybe you don't agree with the people, the decisions they make, and then you try to make it more personal, or because I don't agree with you, I don't like you. It has different stuff that can shape your values to be like that, but it shouldn't be like that.
All right. That's good. All right. Continue.
Character and ethical behavior. Leaders need to display integrity, authenticity, and credibility to bring together a group of individuals and work towards a common goal. An example for that. I want to say oh wait, why did it swap? I want to say that is, if you are consistently working in a particular group, and your experience with that group is, oh, they help you do stuff. You guys, maybe you finish projects together. You would more feel confident in being around that particular group. That's if you had good experience with that group. But if you have like a bad experience with a person or a particular group, and the next time you meet that person or a particular group, you would like anticipate that, oh, these guys are gonna be bad this time also because you had a bad experience with them before. So it's basically that the relationship was built on what you experienced before. It's not what you are experiencing now. It's like your perception of what's going on.
All right, but I think to the broader aspect that they're looking at here is that the values and beliefs that you have developed over your lifetime display itself in your behavior, and both informs who you are in terms of what your character is, and your ethical behavior would reflect that. And based upon your behavior, that will tend to either foster good relationships, especially if they're built on trust, as you have here. They're built on trust, expectation, and ethical values or ethics, as opposed to somebody who may be coming from a background in which their ethical behavior is questionable or their
Mm-hmm.
character is questionable. Then you have a difficulty generating trust with individuals like that. I'm pretty certain students are very familiar with that already in their own life experiences. There are people, we make a statement sometimes, if he say run, stand up, and if he says stand up, run. You know
Mm-hmm.
that phrase that you get at those colloquialisms. Those speak to the consistency of an individual's character between what they say and what they do. So things like that impact upon the the type of relationships you're able to develop with each other as a result of the things that you're doing. All right, going well so far. Go ahead.
Now we have the character and ethical behavior. The Josephson Institute of Ethics define 6 pillars of character. It has the trustworthiness. This would be like if you're honest, maybe loyal, keep your promises, stuff like that. Um, Respect. It would be if you're courteous to someone, you're accepting, treating people fairly. Responsibility would be if you are accountable for stuff like you have a project, you have a due date, and you get it done before the due date. You don't try to hand it in late. That would be responsibility. Fairness would be reasonable, I guess, and unbiased. Like you treat people fairly. You don't assume that, oh, because you are of a particular background that I'm gonna treat you this way. Caring would be more compassionate, showing compassion to someone. Maybe someone is sad, and instead of asking them why they're sad, why they're doing this, you just try to sympathize with them. You don't try to be pushy and try to be like, oh, why are you doing this? This is not logical, stuff like that. Citizenship, I believe this is like, if you're a law-abiding citizen, um, what kind of character you're showing as being a citizen? Are you a good citizen? Are you not trying to make problems? Are you protecting the environment? Are you doing community service? Stuff like that. Just move on. The 6 pillars of character. This is continued here. This is the responsibility. This is what we just talked about, being accountable for your actions and shows self-control. Considering moral and ethical implications for actions or lack of actions. This would be like the bystander neutral slang with oppressor. Fairness is why I said that keep an open mind. You try to listen. You evaluate your personal biases. being more impartial and reasonable. As I said, don't try to, because the person is because this person is from a particular background, that you have to keep an open mind when listening to that person or interacting with that person. And then we move on to this. The 6 pillars of character continued. This is the equality versus the inequality. The first image, if you can see it, this is the image where they put everyone on the same height. I say, depending on where you are in life, it's just depending on where you are in life, it's more you can see. So like if you're lower down and they put you on the same stepping stool as everyone else, you won't really be able to see. But the people who are more if they are like higher and if they are like more elevated than you, they'll be able to see what you're not being able to see. Then we move on to the second image where individuals are given different supports to make it possible for them to have equal access. A lot of people don't agree with this. A lot of people don't agree with this as, oh, because you are lower, you should be given more support, or because I'm higher, I shouldn't be given any support at all. I don't really know why it's like this, but I don't agree with this, but I more agree with the third image as you put everyone on the same playing field with nothing blocking them, and this way the systematic barrier is removed. I
That might
more
not
agree
be.
with this one.
Oh, that might not be true. You know what they're trying to get you to look at there is the difference between equality and equity. Um, even if, all right. So in the third one, all three can see the game. All right.
Yeah, they have nothing blocking them.
Yeah. So that's more equitable, as opposed to the first situation, in
There
which
was
there's
no
a great deal
equality,
of
right?
inequality. The
Yeah.
second situation, in which some people seem to be more given more advantage to it. So each block that you're seeing there represents an advantage that one person has over another.
Mm-hmm.
So in the second one, you have greater advantage provided for the shortest individual or the smallest individual than the tallest individual. So they get no support at all.
Mm-hmm.
So the third one, you're correct, is where you try to make an even playing field for everybody, and that gives you better equity. But remember, there is a difference between things being equal and things being equitable. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the decision, or the issue that they're trying to get you to look at there. All right, continue. Go ahead.
So we move here. 6 pillars of character continued. Has caring, concern for other people's well-being, avoid being hurtful, show empathy, and kindness. That would be, as I said earlier, where you see someone crying or someone having a bad day, and instead of you trying to be pushy and be like, oh, why are you being like this, you kind of try to sympathize with them. You show compassion, you show kindness to them. The citizenship, members of the community hold responsibility to contribute by following laws, upholding your responsibilities to the society, maybe your constitutional rights, freedoms, laws, responsibilities, justice. I don't really have much to go on the citizenship. I just, I can't really explain it. It just comes natural, I guess. So I'm not sure if anybody would like to comment on this one. All right, moving on. And now we come to the conclusion that we believe the capacity for leaders is within each of you, as we noted in chapter 2. So the 2 chapters before this. Many observers of leadership agree that leaders are made, not born, and that everyone has the capacity to be a leader within them. Being more self-aware is isn't the reason why you do things or say things, is the key to truly understanding yourself as both a participant and as a leader. So you should know why you're saying this, and why you're doing this, not just doing it and saying it. You should know why you're doing these things. Does anyone have any questions?
All right. Did you bring up the personality testing?
Oh, I don't think I did bring up the personality testing. Hold up.
All right. So, well, there is an exercise in the e-classroom where I've posted the
Personality test.
personality test. Now, the idea here is to kind of learn more about yourself. You need to engage in self-examination, and that results in you learning more about yourself. So I would encourage people, as part of your self-analysis, to engage in the to use the self-analysis, the personality test. And you should have already gone through a little bit of this here with them to kind of look at the different aspects of the personalities test, what it can tell you a bit about yourself a little more. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all right, so that's your presentation for now.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, so hold on, let me stop the recording.